So hello, everybody, and welcome to the November 2021 meeting of the virtual chapter. I am Michael Watson, your host, joined by my co-host and lovely partner, Karen Hand. Say hello, Karen.
Hello, Karen. How are you guys? So glad that you're here.
Say goodnight, Dick. That's great. Yeah, hello, Karen. So anyway, it's lovely to be here tonight. We've got a special guest. We're going to have a great time, and we'll introduce her in just a little bit. A couple announcements we need to make up at the front here is to let you know that if you're watching this, you are eligible to get CEUs. Count them, 1.5 hours worth of CEUs from IACT or IMDHA, if you're a member of either of those organizations, from ICBCH and from
IHF. And if you tell NGH what you were up to, they will probably give you CEUs for it too. I am an NGH certified instructor, so they shouldn't tell you about that at all.
There you go.
It's an IACT certified instructor.
And I'm willing to bet you that there are a number of other hypnosis organizations as well. If you let them know that you spent your time here with us, that they would give you credit for that too. So bear that in mind and do what you need to do about that. We got some announcements. I mentioned the HEA when we were talking before the show. The Hypnosis Education Association here in Florida is having its November meeting here in Orlando, live, in person, 3-dimensional, for the first time in, gosh, our last meeting was the day before the curtain fell. Literally, I think it was March 13th or something, 2020. So we're looking forward to being back together. I think it's going to be a wonderful thing. And great guest. Guess what? Jason Lynette has moved to Orlando, Florida. So now we've got Jason Lynette, we've got Sean Michael, and of course we've got Michael Watson. Some of you have heard of him. Several folks here doing hypnosis, and it's a thriving community in Orlando.
Watch out, Vegas. Orlando's taken over as the hypnosis capital.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, by the way, it is going to be the site of the Hypno Expo 2022, the IACT IMDHA conference that is coming up this spring. And oh my God, here I'm like sort of semi-official with this outfit, and I'm wondering what the hell dates are
I didn't bring the dates either. I'm so sorry to say, but it is in May.
I'll mention it again before we're done here. but yeah, it's coming up and near its usual time. And it's going to be a wonderful conference. We've got a new hotel, a new venue. And again, that was slated to begin in 2020 when we moved away from Daytona Beach. And then there was this thing that happened in the world. So again, we're also really looking forward to that. Still quite a ways off, but coming more quickly than you know.
And we will give you the dates before the night's over with, because IACT IMDHA will never let you down. When they were hit a month before the conference last year, and we knew that we had to shut down the in-person thing, they were on the ball with it. And thanks to Michael Watson, got a Zoom conference up, and it was lovely. So they are going to have a conference on those dates, come hell or high water, if we have to do it from a boat.
Well, and speaking about that, we did that really very early, didn't we, at the last minute's notice? And I'm really proud to have been a part of that. And following up behind that, sure enough, Karen, you and your folks in Chicago did a great job of getting online and and doing what needed to be done. And Cheryl and Larry, you had your online conference, and we really rolled with the punches, didn't we? And I think it's just a mark of our own resilience. I'm a little curious about what it's going to be like after this. People have discovered a new way to do things.
Right.
So what it's going to be like going forward, I don't know. Because Laiz, for example, if you're anything like me, I've been to Brazil. I love traveling, and doing programs. I was there with Cheryl, in fact, was part of the same group, and we had a wonderful time. I'm really afraid that some of these places that I've gotten to go are going to start calling me up and saying, Michael, we'd like you to come and do a bit for us, or we'd like you to do a bit for us at our conference, but you don't need to come this time.
It's the downside with Australia too. I mean, we were just talking about Australia a moment ago, and Cheryl and Larry doing something there, and that's going to close down too if everything can be done by Zoom. So let's hope that we all go back to meeting in person again.
I really know, like I said, with the HEA, I can hardly wait to get together with these people that, that I've known them for a long time, we're all sort of close, but sooner or later, I think we long for human contact in 3 dimensions.
Yes.
And so maybe what we'll end up doing is that really special people will get together in a room and do seminars, and some other folks, also special, will watch from Zoom at the same time, in their own places. But yeah. It's much easier to do certain, like the hand drop induction, for example, if you actually got a hand to hold. So hopefully we can do that. So anyway, there's HEA, Hypno Expo, the Certified Master Trainer Program for any of you that are interested in being a trainer for IACT IMDHA is in fact just coming up next week. As soon as I get back from HEA, I get a day or so to breathe. And then the 17th through the 21st, 5 days online, is the CMT program. And then it'll be offered again at conference as well. So anything from Chicago, Karen?
I have an announcement to make. Yes, December 3rd, I'm having a hip replacement. So I don't have a lot of big plans for things that I'm doing in December. My big plan is to make it here via Zoom at our meeting in December. So December 3rd, I'm having my left hip replaced. Cheryl and Larry have hobbled, and Michael too, have hobbled with me through many conferences, and we will all be glad to see me walking like a real human again.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's my big plan.
That's going to be great.
All your greatest wishes, I would appreciate. Positive thoughts, greatest wishes, super healing, and all of that stuff. December 3rd. Think of me.
You have got them, sister.
Thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, there we are. Oh, one more thing. Another thing that I don't have the details about. And the problem is I've got a page on my phone I don't want to move. But the script competition, IACT has an annual, IACT and IMDHA, I guess, has an annual script contest, and everybody sends in scripts. I know that there are prizes to be had. This is the worst announcement I've ever made, because all I know is there's a script contest. I don't know how you get involved with it. I don't know what the prize is, but I do know that if you're a member, you've probably gotten an email today about it that I saw right before I got on here. So check it out and, send in a script.
There you go.
There you go.
I just wanted to put in there, May 13th through the 15th is the conference.
IACT IMDHA. Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl. I saw that you put that in the chat. I appreciate that a lot. May 13th, 15th in Daytona.
Beautiful.
I mean, in Orlando. In Orlando. Old habits die hard.
I love it. 20 minutes from my house now. Isn't that cool?
That is
We're coming for dinner, tell Michael.
Yes, he says he'd like to have some of my friends for dinner. With a wry smile. So
with fava beans. So we will get to our guest in just a moment. Laiz Ricci. Oh, I'm trying so hard. Thanks, I got a thumbs up. She's with us all the way from Brazil, and we're going to talk to her about working with children in just a couple of moments. But there's something that's really come up a lot on the hypnosis forums, in Hypnosis Chatter, in other groups that I belong to, about this movie Hypnotic on Netflix. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Show of hands.
Yeah.
Well, many of your clients might, so it would behoove you to see Hypnotic on Netflix so that you can answer the questions that will be asked about it. Michael and I both watched it, and I've seen a lot of people say, oh, it's just terrible. It makes hypnosis look awful, et cetera, et cetera. What are people going to call and say? I just don't think it was that bad. I actually kind of liked the movie, and Michael saw it twice. Now, why in the world did you watch it twice?
Because I thought it was so bad the first time that I couldn't remember anything about it when you asked me. By the way, it's about this hypnotist that gives people amnesia. So maybe I watched it the first time and then I was like, wondered had I watched it when Karen asked me if I'd seen it.
Well, there is that.
Well, with respect, I'm not going to criticize your we may have differences in movie. So I thought it was kind of Siskel and Ebert. I don't know if they would have liked it very much, but there was some interesting things in it, weren't there? So yeah, it doesn't give hypnosis a bad name, because all that really happens that I recall is that she knew that her ex-husband had an allergy to sesame oil, and yet she made him dinner that put him in the hospital. Let's see, that's one. Let's see, what else happened in there?
There was some, there were some implanted memories, some of the things that people are afraid of, that you can put memories of, some of that, whatever. The most interesting thing to me was they never showed the hypnosis. And if I had a person call me and say, "Ooh, does it really happen that way?" The first thing I would say is, well, let me tell you, hypnosis is not just for the good witches. So yes, it's a great modality that can be used for good and or evil. But notice that they never showed you the hypnosis in the movie, because hypnosis looks like this most of the time. Not very good for a Hollywood movie. So they embellish it, they do other things with it, and they make it the Deus ex machina. If you know what that is, the Deus ex machina, in Shakespeare days and in olden theater, they had these big God machines that would come and bring an ending to a play or fix something. It was the God machine. And isn't it interesting that hypnosis is so powerful that it has now taken on the God machine? If you want something to happen, hypnotize them to make it happen. And oh, if it only worked that way. If it only worked that way, I'll be perfectly honest with you right now, I would not be sitting here with you. I would be on a beach in Hawaii, because I would have hung out at the lottery office a couple of times. And when people had those big Powerball winnings, I would have done something to them to get their money. So seriously, if it really were to happen like that, those are the kind of results you might see.
But you know what, Karen, I would be sitting with you on a beach.
Right.
And you know what? And we'd have these folks on Zoom.
Well, okay, that's true. Well, no, that we would all be sitting on a beach in Hawaii, because we're all hypnotists and we would have all gotten all the lottery money.
Yeah. So let me say, Karen, because I don't, while on the one hand, it might sounded like I was criticizing your movie, and I don't want to take that away. It's just, as fun as it was fun. I found it a little comical in some sense, but there were interesting things about hypnosis. And here's what came to my mind immediately, what you might remember, for if you haven't seen it yet, watch for this. The inductions take place, in one case, this woman's driving the car and then she gets a phone call, right? And he says, "This is how the world ends," is the voice that comes through the phone. And then she crashes her car and kills herself and her husband. But
that was her hypnotic suggestion.
A pleasant little, it should be a musical. It's such a light little romp. However, remember the Manchurian Candidate? That this has been associated with, so the phone call comes, the person picks up the phone, and "I am in your power," hypnosis. The question is kind of relevant. We were surprised. Some of you also remember, the first hypnosis that I think I ever saw in my life was the movie The Three Faces of Eve. When I was a little kid, and Sybil, another one. So great references in the past. And more recently, there was Get Out. Some of you remember that one, right? The lady
loved Get Out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you remember Trance as well. A painting was stolen from an art auction house, and it was part of a plot. And whoever it was that had custody of the painting was hypnotized and actually, I think, gave the painting to his hypnotist. I'm trying to remember exactly how it worked out, but it was really actually kind of a good movie. So if you haven't seen it, it's just called Trance. Watch for that one too.
Yeah.
But all of them do something interesting. They get sort of a swell in the marketplace. People start talking about hypnosis, and
that's the point.
And they talk about how powerful it is. So it's kind of interesting, because some people, Stephanie Conkle, I think, when Get Out came out, said that it had increased her practice. In spite of how weird it was, people got the idea, oh, hey, yeah, there is this thing called hypnosis. This movie is probably a bunch of bullshit, but, I hadn't thought about hypnosis. That might be really useful. And, and then they were calling her for appointments. So
it has people talking about it.
Any publicity is good publicity, they've said.
Right.
What do you think about that? I'm always concerned that people are really misinformed about hypnosis on the one hand, but we get an opportunity, don't we, to correct that in our pre-talk and to really sort of move them in the right direction. And it just might be the thing that gets them in the door. The devil made me go to church,
Was it the devil or a movie about the devil?
Well, yeah,
You
The
know,
Exorcist, probably that.
I'm very pleased when our profession becomes a part of the mainstream, and not that they make movies about it or whatever. With that commercial that the tobacco companies are running now about, oh, if you're thinking about quitting smoking, people will tell you to do all sorts of crazy things like try hypnosis. Most of the people have never heard anything other than try hypnosis from that commercial. They're in the kitchen getting a sandwich and all they hear is try hypnosis. I like that. I hope they do because they will quit smoking faster than with Chantix or with the gum or anything else. So I like it when they talk about us.
But before we leave this topic, I have 2 quotes from the movie that I did write down that I want to share.
Okay.
The first one, are you ready for this one? She came out of trance. She opened her eyes and she looked at the clock and she said, "That was an hour?" And he said, "I think you might be more open to suggestibility than you imagine."
Yes.
I like the idea, open to suggestibility. That's an interesting phrase. Yeah, so that was one. And the other, now this is, by the way, this is good emotional blackmail. As a therapist, I think you all should know how to do this. My mother knows how to do it, you know, and perhaps yours does. He said to her, "The moment you start to doubt our work, fear wins. Is that what you want?" I thought that was fantastic. So there's my quotes from the film literature.
One more little twist that they added in is, at least for American women, I don't know about other women, but the research shows well over 50% of American women have a rape fantasy. Not that they want to be raped, but the fantasy of being swept off their feet, of being taken. And these lovely women were definitely being swept off their feet by the powerful hypnotist. So it plays into the female genre as well, but from that angle, like Cary Grant kind of angle.
And you don't even have to go out to dinner.
That's right. That's right. It's right there in your home television set on Netflix. The reason we bring it up is because you may have clients asking about it. If you do, now you've got some information about it, or at least a reason to check out the movie because it's out there right now.
And to educate people when they ask questions.
Right, right.
Just might open up a dialogue.
And hopefully they will. And if there are no other announcements, Michael,
Go right
are you
ahead.
ready to move forward?
I am ready.
I would love to introduce our featured guest today, Laiz Ricci. I saw her first at the Elman conference. I was running a room and it was quite by accident, and I loved it. I loved it. I loved what she had to say. I loved her presentation, and immediately I had to get to know her more. And now this is what I know about her. She's a neuropsychologist. She's been a neuropsychologist for 8 years, and then a hypnotist for 4 years. So I got a question about that in a moment. She specializes in child analysis and child development. She works with hypnosis and many other techniques that complement each other and help children live a lighter and more fun way. How cool is that? She also works with the parents of the children so that they can learn how to deal with that childhood world and to help their kids. So all the way from Brazil, I would like to welcome you, Laiz, for joining the virtual chapter. Will you unmute yourself, please?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And my first question to you is, with all of this background and all of that, what prompted you to get into psychology? And then what made you curious about hypnosis?
So how did I get into psychology?
Yeah, what made you interested in that?
It was quite strange for my age at that time, but I was 17. I was finishing high school, and I thought, I had no idea what would I do to my life. And I was like, okay, I have to choose something. I have to go to college. And what now? And I was like a terrible teenager. For my mom, it was not easy. And then my dad went to a vacation with my brother, and my mom, she just found out about this NLP training, and then she was like, okay, I want to take it. And then she was like, okay, but I cannot leave my daughter alone. She's terrible. No, she's 17. She's terrible. She cannot stay by herself here. And then there I was, 17 years old in an NLP training with her. And then she said to me, let's go. It's going to help you lose weight. That's what she said. And then I was like, okay, so let's go. I want to do it. And then I was terrible at school. I hated to study. I hated to go to school. I hated everything. And I was like, what's going to be? I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. And then I just found myself out there in this NLP training. And then I was like, this is so cool. I love it. And then I was like studying the whole day from morning to midnight. And then I was like, I'm not tired. I love it. This is so cool. I love it. And then it was not enough for me to find out what I wanted for my life. But I remember, now I know that this was kind of a hypnosis technique. There was this exercise. There was a timeline for my life. And then I had to stand here and know that I was at the age 17. And then I closed my eyes, and then I was walking back and back and back year by year until I was in my mom's, how do you say that?
Womb.
Okay, womb. And then I had to go a little more back until a moment before I was born. And I remember, like, my imagination is so crazy. I'm just like a child. And then I remember that I was in the clouds, and then there was me, and there was someone right next to me, and then we were just looking at the earth. And then I was like, okay, where am I gonna go? I'm gonna go here. Oh, these people are so crazy. No, they need to be lighter. They need to be happier. They are so worried about everything. No, I don't want to go into this world. And they were like, but you have to. And I was like, okay, but I have to do something. They cannot stay like this. I don't know who this man was, but it was a man, and he was right beside me, and he was talking to me. And then he was like, okay, and then you are going to go and you are going to leave, and that's what you're going to do. You're going to help them to live lighter and happier. And then I was like, okay. But okay, so I came back from this exercise, and I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do with my life. But how? And if you think like here in Brazil, if I'm going to help someone to live lighter, it could mean like literally. So I could be a nutritionist. But no, I wanted them to live emotionally lighter. And then it took me like a couple of days until I could figure it out. I remember like 2 days later, I was almost falling to sleep. And then I just thought, whoa, I can be a psychologist. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do. And then that's how I became a psychologist after this exercise and this training, like as my life purpose.
Very cool story. In Brazil, when you studied psychology, do they mention hypnosis?
They do, but we don't learn hypnosis. They just say that Freud studied it, and he tried it, but he abandoned it. But studying Freud, I kind of have an idea about why he didn't go with that. And well, that's just my opinion.
You worked in as a psychologist for 4 years before you actually transitioned, or not transitioned, but added hypnosis to your toolkit. Tell me about that.
Okay, so I went to college. College here is a little bit different than it is in the US. So I think there you have like undergrad, and then you have to choose a field or something like that. Here in Brazil, we have 5 years of college. So I got into psychology, and then we have 5 years of college. And then after these 5 years, I'm already a psychologist. The only thing that I had to choose is like the line that I'm gonna work is psychoanalysis, behavioral therapy, cognitive behavior, and etc. But what was your question?
Transition to hypnosis.
Okay. So When I got into psychology, I remember that someone told me, oh, okay, so you're going to be a psychologist, so you have to start your own therapy, because for you to be a good psychologist, you have to heal yourself too. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. So there I was starting my psychoanalysis too. So I started my therapy at the same age, the same year that I started my psychology course. So I finished psychology, I was still in my therapy, and then I started working, and 3 years later, I was working for 3 years as a psychologist, and I have been in my analysis for 8 years. And then one day I was like really tired because I had clients that were with me since the first day that I started, and it was like 3 years later, and they were like rounding and going into the same problems, and I was like, okay, I'm not helping them. And then I had supervision. I have another psychologist that was helping me, and I would go there and I do supervision with her every week. And then I was like, this is not working. I'm a terrible psychologist. This is not working. And then one day, well, of course, it worked for a lot of people and for a lot of problems, but I was so pissed off about those ones that were like the same thing. And then one day I was in my own therapy 8 years after I started. Every week I went into my therapy for a period of my life. I went twice a week, and I was like, and then I just started talking and complaining. And then suddenly I was like, this is the reason that I came here 8 years later. So I'm having this problem. My clients are having this problem. There's got to be something. No, there's got to be something that can help us, like just click and just, okay, go on. You didn't like it. It was terrible what happened, but you have to move with your life. There's got to be something that's going to make me stop looking at the past and start looking at the future and start living my life. There's got to be something more. And then I remember that in this NLP training, my teacher, he did a hypnosis demonstration with one of the students. And then I was like, oh, this is so cool, because I was 17. And then I was like, everything was so cool. But it wasn't enough for me to go for that, and started studying more about it. And then I just remember that I was like, this hypnosis thing, this might help. And I just Googled hypnosis, and then I found an institute here in Brazil, and I started studying Ericksonian hypnosis. And then it was first training, second training, and third training, like all like this, one after the other. And then I was like, oh, I looked like a teenager, because I was like, this is so cool. I love it. And then I never stopped. And then I just found it.
So you found solutions, and you found the next step all at the same time.
Yeah, I did find the next step, but it was a little bit harder, because I was like, okay, I took like 3 trainings, one after the other. It was almost 2-3 weeks. And then I was like, whoa. And then I saw some difference in my life too. My father, he was a little bit against it. He didn't approve so much me doing that, but I did it anyway. And then he was like, I don't know what happened there. There must be magic, or I don't know, but it changed you. You were someone totally different. And I thank God you went for that strange thing. And okay, he never allowed me to hypnotize him, but he did love what happened. But I had a hard time, because, okay, I started studying another training and depression training and conversational hypnosis training. And okay, but it works. But what am I going to do with my child, with the children that I have here? And then I was like, how to do that with children? How? And then I had a really hard time. I spent like a whole year only working with adults and some teenagers that they wanted to, but I couldn't see how that would work for children. And then I just started to read some books, and like I really had some really nice talk with this teacher that I had. He was a psychologist too. He worked as a psychoanalyst.
Analyst.
Yeah, psychoanalyst too. And he started working with hypnosis, and he worked with that for 15 years. And then I was like, okay, please help me, give me some light, because I don't know, I really want to do that with kids, but I have no idea how to start. And then he just gave me some books, and then I just started studying, and then I was like, okay, I got to start practicing, otherwise it won't work. And then I already had my clients. So we already had play and fun and games and imagination. And then I was like, okay, it's kind of the same, but I can intensify it. So it's just a little bit different from what I already do. So if I try it and it doesn't work, then that's fine. They are already my clients. So, okay, let's go for that. And then I started and never stopped. Here I am.
Laiz, I think you actually just answered this, and I wonder if you could tell me a little more, because besides we've been talking about hypnosis and psychology, but at some point there's a part of you that decided, I really want to work with kids, and I'm really curious about what it is about that, because this is really to me, these are the kind of things that I really think are vocation, and I'd love to hear about what is it about working with children that is so special to you.
Okay. So I thought for my whole college that I didn't want to work with kids because I didn't have patience, and it was so hard, and adults, they speak and they say, and it's easier. Okay, I thought I didn't want to work with kids. Actually, I didn't want to. But when we come, I don't know how it works there in the US, but here in Brazil, when we are in our last year of college, then we basically don't have like theory. We have like 2 or 3 subjects, but everything is like practice. So we have the clinic at college, and then I had to see clients there, and then we have supervision groups, and then we have to tell everything that happened, and he's going to help us. Okay, so you have to do that and that. Okay, so this is because of that and that, and just like this. But we don't get to choose our clients. So we have the clinic there, and we have to see, like for the year, 5 or 6 clients. And then I went there to get my first client, and then I just got the paper, and I was like, okay, 8-year-old boy. Ooh, I don't want that. And I was like, oh, why isn't a teenager or a 35-year-old woman that just like want to, I don't know, overcome a divorce or something like that. Okay, 8-year-old boy.
Something easy.
Something easier. Why, God? And I was like, okay, I cannot. And I chose like the toughest one, the toughest teacher, because he was the best. But I wouldn't dare ask him to change, because he was gonna be so mad at me. And no, I had a whole year in front of me. I was like, oh no, I'm not crazy. I don't dare asking him that. Okay, I'm gonna have to do that. So I just went into my first session, and then I was like, okay, I'll just try to make this boy like me. Okay, he has to like me. I don't care what I'm gonna do. He's just, he needs to like me. Okay, and then I just came there, and then we just started talking, and then I was like, okay, what do you want to do? You like to draw? You want to play some game? You can choose. I'm here for you. And then he was like, okay, we can draw. I like to draw. And okay, you're gonna make your draw. I'm gonna make my draw, and then at the end we're gonna see each other's draw. Okay, and then we just started, and then I was like, okay, but maybe we can put some colors in it, just black and white, right? Okay. And I was like, yeah, well, we can do that. And then we just started painting in our draws, and that's it. And we made some stories, and that was the session. And I was like, okay, I think he likes me. Okay, goal accomplished. Perfect. But I was like, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. My teacher is going to kill me. He's going to kill me. And I was like, okay, let's just go there, and I'm going to just accept everything that he has to say to me. And then, okay, I'm going to have to learn this. And then I went into my supervision class, and then he was like, Laiz, please explain your case. And I was like, no, okay. And then I just saw the draw. I just showed him the draws, and then I told everything that happened in the session, and he was like just looking at me like that. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so screwed. I'm so screwed. I did everything wrong. And then he was like, how did you do that? And then I was like, what exactly are you asking me? And then he was like, how did you make him paint the draw? And then I was like, I asked. And then, and then he was like, but did he say yes? I was like, it looks like he did, because I was not the one who painted it. And then he was like, because he's been here with another student for a whole year and he never painted a draw. And I was like, oh, but I think she never asked, right? And then he was like, yeah, she did. And I was like, maybe I did something right then. Okay, maybe this is not that hard. And then I was like, it was a great first impression. It was a great first client. I remember his name until today, and I remember his face. And he was the one that made me see childhood world in a different way. I love to study child development because I always thought that our worst problems, the biggest problems that we have as adults, they started in our childhood. Then I was like, okay, so if I can help an adult, I have to understand how they got into this problem. Why is that happening to them? So this is important to me, but I never knew that I was gonna study that so I can work with the child. I wanted to learn that so I can bring it to adult life, so I can help adults. And then I just started looking at that in a different way. And then I just started loving working with kids, and it was amazing to work with that boy, and he was just fantastic. And then it was even better to me that he got a lot better, and then I was like, okay, I can do that. And then that's how I loved working with children. And then I finished, and then I went to study. I think it's a bit different there in US than it is here in Brazil. But after we finish college, then I can choose to do master's, or I can go as a PhD study. And then I started a PhD study in children analysis, and then another one in neuropsychology, but for kids. And then I just started to study kids and how to work with kids. And then I just love kids. But I do like working with adults too, because of the things that I say about our child development, our childhood. They have a great impact in our lives. So if I can understand that, then I can work with all ages.
I
And
want
that's
to go
how
back
I
to your
got.
8-year-old for a moment. That beautiful story. I want to go back to your 8-year-old for a moment. And
Okay.
I love that you ask him. We can play cards, we can play a game, we can draw. What do you want to do? You choose. Man, giving him agency was such a great, great plan to build rapport. And you talk about how important it is to build rapport, not only with the kids, because that's important, but also with the parents. How do you move that over to working with the parents? I mean, you got the kid there, he likes you, but how do you build that rapport with the parents?
Okay, so I understand that rapport with parents, it has to do with confidence, with trust. I think that they have to trust me, because I'm gonna try to help the more precious thing that they have in life. So they're not gonna just leave their child with someone that they don't trust. So I have to help them believe that I can help them, that I can help their child. So when I talk about parents, I think the rapport, it has everything to do with trust. So they can trust me, they can believe me, they can believe in my work and who I am. And they have to look at me and think, she can help. She is the light of the end of the tunnel. And she might have something here. And for parents is that, for kids too. But I think for kids is just like, they have to see my inner child. So I have to go down to their bases, to their age, and show them that I'm there to help, but there's someone there's just like them. And we have nothing different except chronological age, but I've been there. So I know what it's like. And I think that to connect with children, I have to like at least be a child and just be there. And for example, if you see two children, they don't see each other as bigger than the other one. So I'm not the one who like to play the rules. No, if I'm not bigger than you, then we are equal. If we are equal, we are allowed to make the decisions together. Then I'm not your parent, I'm not your teacher, I'm not your dentist that tells you do this, do that. No, I'm just here as an equal to help you. But you have to tell me, I need you. If I'm an equal, the child has to tell me something, otherwise I cannot help. And that's
You're muted,
what I
Mike.
think about.
Michael, if you
Yeah,
want.
yeah, I saw that. This is great. I love what you're saying, and I want to hear more about the kids, but I want to back up for a minute. When we're talking about parents, it occurs to me, and you can tell me if this is right. I just while you were saying it about the importance of trust, it also, I suspect, and I don't work with kids hardly at all, so so I don't know if I'm right about this, but I would suspect that as a parent with a child in therapy, I would also, I'd probably be needing a therapist of my own, because some part of me would be dealing with, well, am I responsible for this? And would be incredibly a vulnerable position for them to be in, because this kid is going to be talking to you about stuff that happens in their house,
Mhm.
So is that also a part? I mean, you've got to be the therapist for everybody, don't you?
Kind of. For example, we have like a trust rule. It's kind more of an ethical thing. If I see one member of the family, then I should, like, for example, if I'm seeing the child, then if I see that the parents, they need therapy too for their own issues, they are interfering in this child, then I should just send them to someone else, because it's going to help the result. And that's why, for example, most kids, parents need therapy. Let's say, for example, this kid is having a hard time. I have like a 8-year-old that is having a hard time with frustration. He doesn't take no. And he doesn't know, he gets so angry, so frustrated. But if I see a child like that, I know that there is a parent that is having a hard time with rules and with like you say here, hierarchy. I don't know, but
Hierarchy.
yes, yeah. So I'm having a problem with that. So child is being the one that's got to make the decisions in their house, and that is not the right thing. And this is like the biggest thing that we are seeing here in Brazil, for example. I don't know if it's the same there, but they're having such a hard time with rules and orders and no's and everything. But there's not a child problem. It started in the parents. So as a psychologist, I give them some orientation, like I teach them how to deal with this kid, but if I see that they are not able to do what I ask them, then I know that there is an emotional problem in it. So this emotional problem, they should treat in therapy or hypnotherapy. But I choose not to be the one to do that. And that's why, because I need the trust from my client. And if I'm seeing the child, or especially a teenager, they don't want me to tell everything to their parents. And if they know that I'm seeing them and parents too, they're going to be like, even in an unconscious way, they can be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't say anything about my dad. And maybe dad is the problem. So I choosing to get results, then I think that it's better if they work with someone else. But I do have to give them some orientation, because there's always some orientation to do.
Yeah.
Always.
I wasn't just meaning in terms of working with them all. And I think I said you've got to be a therapist to everybody. I didn't mean that technically, more in the sense that if I'm going to leave my child with you, a part of what you mentioned that you have to do is you've got to get me to trust you to do that, right? And I have a feeling that somehow or another my own guilt issues about I've got a child in therapy.
Yeah, and this is a good point. This is a good point, because, for example, when a parent comes to me, for example, there's this mom and she comes to me and she's having some problems with her child, and then she's in pain. So I think part, of course, of therapy, but part of the report is like to understand that there's a pain and there is a difficulty. And that's what she is looking for, someone to help and not judge her. Yeah. So I think it's a very thin line between giving orientation and knowing that they might have a hard time to following that, and that is totally okay. So once they can feel that I'm not judging, I'm just here to explain to you what's happening, and I'm here for you and to understand your pain and help you in every way that you can need me, even if it's just like finding your own therapist, then I'm here for you. But I think the most important part is to let them know that I'm here to help and not here to judge. And I understand that there's a pain. And I understand that maybe this is, I tell them every time, like, okay, I'm giving here a lot of orientation for you, but I do not expect you to just leave my office and start doing everything the way I said, because I know that there's a habit, there's emotional problems involved, and there's a lot of things. And I want to do this slowly, but forever. I want to change that can last forever. And if you make a mistake, then that's fine. Because if you are making some mistake now, you were making a mistake, but trying to make it right. And that's all I need. I just need you to want to make it right. And that is okay if you cannot do it. We're going to find a better way that you can just go and help your child the best way that you can.
Laiz, I've seen children, I don't see a lot of children, but I've seen children for hair pulling or nail biting, things like that. Mm-hmm. It sounds to me as if you might be seeing them for much deeper issues. What kind of issues do you deal with? And I think Jen is very interested in that too, from all the way in Australia.
Yeah, most of them, they are with anger issues or anxiety, but I just had 11-year-old, no, he's 10-year-old last week. And then we were just playing cards. And then he was just like this, hey, I think I have depression. And I was like, why do you think that? I don't know, I cry a lot. And then, of course, he's not of course, he might be depressed, but he's not. But he's having like really hard times at school, when kind of a bullying too, but some problem with friends and really sadness things. So most things that I see are problems with anxiety, like in a really high level almost like I have kids with anxiety attacks, like panic attacks too, and depression and anger issues. This boy is one that he has like really hard time dealing with his anger. He gets so nervous and so frustrated that he's like, I don't know, we here in Brazil, we say that you go out of your body, something like that. But we usually have those problems for all the reasons that we can see. But I most see kids for like emotional problems that are not just like habits, like deeper problems.
So give me an example, if you don't mind, maybe a technique, something that I might be able to walk away with that you would use to work with a child with anxiety. Because I think there are a lot of kids with, as they're going back into school, as we're still coming out of the pandemic or dealing with masks and all of that stuff, I think anxiety, stress,
yeah,
we call it,
is the biggest one.
Yeah.
I love the technique. I think you might know this one. I learned that from Laiz Ricci, and it's a technique that she teaches in 4 steps. So first one, you associate the kid with the problem. So with the anxiety or, for example, the fear or something like that. And then you just associate. And then you associate them with their like their ability, their good qualities.
their resources. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. And then you just take this feeling into the scene of the problem. I don't know what is called this technique, but I know it's called this 4 steps.
Meta pattern of change.
Yeah, I just love this one. And at the end, I just love to add like crystals or something concrete that they can see, or like the oils, essential oils that they can feel, something that show them that, okay, this is the solution. So, okay, we had the problem, but then you have this, you can hold or you can smell, or maybe something that they like. I have a child that she has those crystals as a necklace, and then she just walked with that. And then something concrete that help them see there's a solution and there is inner peace somewhere. I have a nephew, she's 4-year-old, and she was dealing with some anxiety, and she didn't know how to deal with that. And then I was at her house last weekend, and then I had 2 crystals as a necklace, and then she saw one, and then she was like, I want one of those. And I was like, okay, but you know they're magical, right? No, I didn't. Yeah, they are. And I know that your mom told me that you were having a hard time. You were too anxious, and sometimes you don't know what to do with your feelings because you get too nervous. Maybe you need to be more calm. Maybe you need peace, right? I could use that. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to give this one to you, but you have to promise me that every time you think you are getting anxious and nervous, you're going to remember to just touch it and remember that it's like connected to your heart. And in your heart, you have all the peace that you need.
Yeah.
And then all the peace that you need is going to come to you. And then you're going to be able to deal with everything that you need. And then I gave her the necklace. Of course, I was a little bit sad because I love the necklace, but I'm going to buy another one. That's fine.
You know, that
It sounds like an
you asked for something bigger. I'm trying to convince myself, but okay.
that sounds like a great adaptation, Laiz, of the Elman magic spot, which I've used with a couple of kids for to get their vaccines. They have to go get their vaccinations now, and we're using that magic spot. I
love
magic
it.
Crystal magic is magical with children, is it not? And adults too.
Yeah, there's something for vaccine. I told you, I showed the video, right, Cheryl? I think when I was there at the training, there was this video that I saw of the magic glove of a woman. She was like just using a magic glove, and the glove just came right up to here. And then the glove is magical, so you can touch anywhere in your body. And then it's just anesthetized. And then I just love this technique too. It works with all of them, especially teenagers.
You know,
I just love this one.
what's amazing to me is kids are so able to suspend disbelief that they don't start out doubting everything in the first place. So when you offer them something to try on, they can try it on and they can have the experience. Whereas somehow or another, grown-ups are like, you got to explain this to me. You got to make this make sense to me. So kids, they can put on a Superman suit on Halloween and it's as though they could fly, right? Or when I was a little kid, I could straddle a broomstick and it could become a great stallion or something, right? Without any question. Of course, kids born after 1960 can't do the broomstick thing. They've been wrecked. but that imagination is there for children in such a way that if we decide that we want to have an experience, the child in me must be talking to you, that we want to have an experience, then we just do. We let ourselves, and grown-ups are a little bit
Harder.
Yeah, are a whole lot
boring.
And the meta pattern, for instance, it's really beautiful, and I know that from NLP something like the circle of excellence, a similar thing where you can sort of step into a particular quality and access a state, a powerful feeling state. Grown-ups are like, you got to convince me first. The critical faculty, by the way, is getting in the way so much less with children, because they're okay with it.
Yeah. And I think the most beautiful things about kids, like the best thing about kids, is that you can make a technique out of nowhere. You just have to use your imagination. Everything, once they trust you, everything that you tell them. I already asked a child that he had anger issues, that he could just close his eyes and imagine there was a balloon in front of him and he was just blow the anger into the balloon. He was really pissed at this boy that was giving him a hard time at school. And then he was like, I'm gonna blow him into this balloon. He's gonna get out of my life. And then the anger and the guy, they went into the balloon, and then everything was okay. And then he was like, okay,
yeah.
He's just there. And just we can just adapt anything once we learn that we just have to use our imaginations. And I love to work with metaphors too, with draws and metaphors and stories. I think they're really rich for children. And
I'm curious about the drawing that you did with the 8-year-old that we talked about. Now, you both drew something and then you looked at them and then you colorized them, you painted them. What's the next step? Where does that go?
I don't remember back there, but nowadays when I use draws, for example, let's imagine I have a child that she's having some fear of sleeping in her own room. Okay, so she has this fear and she cannot sleep by herself and there's the thing, always when parents come, she just cannot sleep in her own room. She gets so scared because she's afraid of the dark. And I was like, how do you know that? Because once the light is out, then she's scared. Okay, but how do you know it's of the dark? I just know. No, you don't know. You just figure it out. They never ask, because they think that, okay, I'm older, I've been there, then I know what it is. No, you don't, because you're not sane. So first of all, you gotta ask, okay, so you're afraid of the dark. What exactly are you afraid of? I don't know. I think that there's something here, that a monster. Yeah, it might be a monster or something, or a thief or someone. Okay, what do you want to go? A thief or a monster? Okay, I think it's a monster. And children, they have those fears because they have a hard time with abstract stuff. They need concrete stuff, and the dark's too abstract for them. And then, for example, I just asked them, okay, can you draw this monster so I can see it? Because it's hard for me to help you if I don't know what I'm dealing with. Can you draw that for me? Yeah, I can. And then they just draw. And then I don't know what's the name of this technique in English, but it's someone that, okay, I have this monster and I have to make it fun. So we can have clown nose, and we can have a red dress with white balls, and I don't know, and we can draw a mustache or something. And I was like, okay, can we make this fun? Can we make this different? What can you put here so it looks a little more beautiful? Because yeah, it's scary. And then we can just like redraw the draw, and then at the end they were like, okay, it doesn't look so bad. And I was like, if you have this in your room at night, would you be scared? No. So that's what you have there. That's exactly what you have there.
Very interesting way to change submodalities. What a great way to do that.
Yeah, so I just think that kids, they just need to see, they are concrete. So they need to see, they need to touch, they need to smell, they need to use their senses. So if I can just get some techniques and just like make them really see it, and so it's easier for them to believe it, because it's not abstract.
Is there a special induction that you use with children?
Actually, no. The induction that I most use with my clients is the Velman, is the one that I love. But for example, I love it. It's the best one. But for example, if I'm dealing with a 6 or 7 year old, Dave Velman induction, it might take me 5 or 6 minutes to do that. And I think that maybe the techniques with kids, the whole process take like most 5 minutes. Otherwise they get like this, they distract themselves. So I like to do like a lot of mini sessions in one session. So, okay, let's do an exercise. And okay, after we finish this one, open your eyes, close your eyes. Okay, let's do another induction, another exercise. So I really don't worry about induction if I'm dealing with a 6 or 7 year old. I just ask them to close their eyes and take a deep breath and just open their hearts. And then one technique after the other one.
Nice.
I think it's easier for them.
Yeah.
But if they're bigger, then I would go with the one because it's faster for them too.
Great. And of course that this is fractionation, right? Again and again. So
yeah.
quick trance. What a
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I take it you don't have your clients now for such a long time. I mean, they make progress quickly.
Yeah, they do.
Or in Brazil, do they sign up for a year no matter what?
Sometimes they do. I have clients that are with me like for more than a year. In fact, there's this 12-year-old boy that he's just okay. And then I'm like, I always tell his mother, he's fine. He doesn't know. I want him to come at least once a month or every 15 days so he can get better, and he's going to have problems at school. And I want him to know that he has you. And then I'm like, okay, if you want to pay me, then I'm fine. I can talk to him.
Thank God she has you, because she's delivering terrible messages for what she wants. I mean, she's delivering suggestions too, right?
Yeah.
She's just delivering them in what she doesn't want category rather than what she wants.
Yeah. But usually I don't see clients for so long anymore, but sometimes I have, because if I say that, for example, okay, I'm seeing a child and then I know that there's a problem in their house and their parents, and then I just need their help so they can help me help their child. But they are not able to help me or to do what I ask them to. Well, the kid will get better, but then it will get worse again. So it is going to be like this. If some problems, I don't have the help from parents, and then this is a child that is going to stay longer.
Well, we all face the problem of working with the kids and sending them home to the home that caused the problem in the first place.
Yeah, it's because like I have this bottle and it's filled, and then okay, I'm gonna help you empty it. But if it's still coming something in here, it's gonna fill it up again. So, okay, we can empty it up again too, but I need some help. Most of the times, parents, if they help me, then the process is really fast, but sometimes they don't want to. And this is pretty common.
Yeah.
They just really want the result without having to do anything.
Yes, they want
It
you to
happens.
perform.
Uh,
Parents ever ask to stay in the session with you? Do they ever want to stick around for the whole session?
no, they never want to. But well, I just work as a psychologist in this way, and then in the first session, I only see the parents, I don't see the child. And then I explain all the process to them. And then I tell them that the same way that they have the confidentiality, kids have this right too. But they are okay to tell everything if they want to. And if they are not okay in staying in the room alone with me at first, then that's fine. Parents come too, but they usually stay. But I don't like having parents there because most of the times problems are with parents. So if they're there, then we have a hard time. So they open. So I prefer that they're not there. But if
When
I
you're
had never someone that told me, I know I want to be there. If I had, then okay, you can be here, but maybe you won't be so helpful. What if you are the problem then?
when you're really small, who else is there? You know, to in terms of sources and what's happening in your life, right? It's so determined by your parents. I wonder, Laiz, you mentioned the participation of the parents. You need them to support the process, of course, and yet at the same time, you also said you don't tell the parents what a child is talking about. If there's an ongoing situation, right, and you need ongoing help from the parents. So do you update them regularly in some way, or do you change their assignment, or what do you need the parents to do, or how do they participate?
Sometimes I have to update them. Sometimes I have to call them for a session, but that is not so regularly. For example, right before this meeting, I have this client. Well, she is 38, 39, something, and she has a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, almost 8. And she is being too critical with herself. I don't see her kid, but she wanted me to. She's my client for almost a year now. She's actually from Boston, but she's a Brazilian. And she's my client for a year now almost. And then she just started today talking about her daughter. And then she's having like some critical issues and having like, for example, a really hard time in trying to answer things and being wrong about it. And she's being too critical with herself. And there's a saying, I don't know who says that, but there's a saying that says, if the mother is too critical with her daughter, the daughter doesn't stop loving the mother. The daughter stops loving herself, and her self-esteem go low. And then I just told her that. And then I was like, I think you are too hard on her. You are not allowing her to be a kid. You are not allowing her to be a child. And she has a lot of stuff. And then she was like, I know, but how am I going to be able to help her to build responsibility? And then I was like, when she's old enough for that, because now she's 7-year-old and she has to be a child. You are too critical with her. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to see her for free. But if you just stick with what I say, just let her play. She just be a child. She's not going to need my help. And I'm sure of that. I'm 100% sure. But I know that. But then the problem is not in the child. It's in the mother, because she is dealing with her fears and her emotions. And I was like, how am I going to do that? And okay, then I'm going to help you help her. But you just had to let her be a kid. You are not allowing her. She has a lot of things to do the whole day. She doesn't play. She doesn't see other kids. She just have a lot of stuff to deal with as she's like a teenager or an adult, but she's 7-year-old. She has to play. She has to do nothing. Just sit in front of the TV and watch cartoons. She's okay to do that. We are not as adults, but she can. You know, so this is most of like orientations that I give parents and sessions with parents.
One little deviation I want to do off of children for just a moment, Laiz. Michael, this was very interesting to me. I told her that you found Brazilian people to be the easiest in the world to hypnotize. That you say, go, and they're hypnotized. And she said you are 100% wrong.
I'm going to have to disagree with him on that. I'm going to have, I'm going to have. On 2018, I was there in a friend's house, Lauren, and then I hypnotized a few of her friends, and you have a really Narnia ones. We don't have those here. We don't have those here.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
She thinks that Americans are much easier to hypnotize than Brazilians.
They are.
You know, I have a feeling that maybe Americans are easily hypnotized by Brazilians. And
that may be true.
Now you have a point. Yeah. And Brazilians, that they are easier to hypnotize by Americans.
I think that might be true because you know when we were there, and I know Cheryl really remembers this. I was so gosh, we were so received so very, very well, but we were sort of the foreign delegation, and you know, and people looked at us with. I had somebody that I certainly didn't know them. They'd seen me on the internet, and as soon as we were arriving at the hotel at the very beginning, there were people showing up and wanting to get their pictures taken with us, and I'm like, what is this about, you know? And all I had to say to them was, sleep. I mean, that was my experience. Cheryl, she got your hand up, and I know as you were there. Please, let's join in.
Thanks. I wanted to say, Laiz, your experience in the United States has been, in conferences, or when we've been together in conferences with Americans at the Brazilian conferences, or when you were attending our conference, or even here. And then when you're at Lauren's house, Lauren's friends are very more involved in hypnosis and alternate techniques. So I think that you've been around hypnotists and around people that do not have the resilience, the resistance. So they're more easily hypnotized as opposed to the general public. How would that differ? I think that's part of it also. Or even at my house, you were here taking a course and there were other people here, but they were all studying hypnosis or had an interest in it. So
yeah, there is a good point.
Yeah. Here's one more question that I really want to get in before we run out of time, because you can't not ask this question this year. You mentioned earlier something about somebody who was from Boston that was a Brazilian. It occurs to me, as you've been telling your stories, I'm picturing things in my mind and imagining, how it, and then I realize it's like, oh my God, this has been COVID time as well. I'd love to sit down and draw with you, Laiz. That'd be great fun, right?
It would.
But I'm betting that you've been doing some of this online as well.
Yeah, I have.
How does that work out with kids?
Depends of the kids and depends of their ages. For example, I have I'm in São Paulo, and I have a client from Rio, and she's 9-year-old, and then it's been really awesome with her. But she is so like in these television shows and fun and everything, but it works perfectly with her. It's just like we are in the same room. But last week, I had a client, a 6-year-old. Well, most of the problem, I think it's with her mom. So if I work with her, then the problem is solved. But I actually tried to do a session with her kid, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to see her, but I'm not sure if this is going to work at her age because she's only 6, and I don't know how it's going to be to her. But if it's not okay, then you have the option of working with me, and I give you all the orientation that you need, or you get the option of trying to find someone there. I tried to see the kid, but she could not sit still. And then she was like not paying attention. And then she was like, okay, and I'm tired. And my friends are downstairs and they're playing. And I'm going to go there. And just saw her for like 20 minutes. And I was like, okay, you can go play. Just call your mom. I'm going to talk to her. And this particular one, it didn't work so good, but most of the times it's working.
Great, lovely.
I've got a few teenagers that, like I said, I don't see a lot, but a couple of them, and they seem to really do well on the screen because they're used to prancing out anyway when they see a screen. But the other interesting thing that I've noticed, and this is with 20-somethings and 30-somethings too, older clients that I see on Zoom, not so much, but 20s, 30s, and 30-somethings, I will be talking and I will all of a sudden notice them go into a different trance. And I'll ask them, do you have 2 screens up there? And are you looking at a messenger? What are you looking at over there? They don't know that they don't know that we're observing them quite to that extent. But I like wide awake, wide open, eyes wide open hypnosis anyway, because I like to watch them go in and out of trance. But it's the most interesting thing I've discovered about doing it on Zoom is
and you know that this online, we gotta be careful. A couple weeks ago, I have this. She's 25, and she's from Boston too, but she's Brazilian too. I have like 5 Brazilian clients that are from Boston. I don't know what's happening. Maybe I'll have to move there.
There you go.
Maybe.
It's a great place.
Just kidding. I would like that. But I never hypnotized her before. She was my client. She started being my client in therapy. And then I was like, okay, maybe we should do some hypnosis for this problem. I think that might help you. And then she was okay. But she went so deep. And then I went into hypnosis to do some parts therapy with her. And it actually took me into regression. But and then I tried to talk to her and ask some things to her, and then she wouldn't answer me. And I was like, okay, fuck. What did I do? Please go up just a little bit. You have to talk to me and then she didn't talk to me. And then I was like, okay, what am I going to do? What did I do with her? And then, okay, everything went right. But I think that are some things that we have to be careful to not go so deep so they can talk to us, and maybe the connection go boom. And then I was like, okay, she's going to fall asleep and wake up. Like, I don't know if she has an appointment or something, but she's going to miss it. But it worked well.
Good. So Julia would like to know if you could recommend some books about hypnosis with children or scripts or something like that.
There's this book. I can send you the name later because it's in my office, but it's using hypnosis with children. I don't remember the author, but there's this other book that I really love. It's therapy book. It's 5 steps to deal with children anxiety, something like that. I think her name is Lion, I guess. I can send you
If you find those, we'll post them when we
the exact name. I don't remember. They are all in my office, but they are really, really nice. And these 7 steps. Yeah, forgive me, 7 steps. And it's great, and you can really adapt them into trance and actually into giving orientations to parents too, so they can help.
Jennifer, did you by any chance have any questions? Because from what you put in the chat, it appears that you work with kids a lot too. So I was just wanting to make sure if you had some questions that you had a moment to ask.
Oh, was just saying that after Halloween, it was interesting that I had a parent who was sleep deprived. And one of the reasons why is because his 4-year-old all of a sudden started seeing monsters in the bedroom. And so I right away went to, you might sit down and do some art therapy with them and reframe that and see how you go with that. And yeah, it just made me think, when it keyed in when you said you started doing art therapy. So I was making some notes about that. How to go about doing therapy with them was really good.
I really like using the art to change the submodalities. So.
Yeah, there's this other tool that you can find on Amazon. It's called Buddha board. It's in my office too, but it's
What's it
like
called?
a Buddha board.
Oh,
you know Buddha?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Buddha board, and it's like a board that you have like the, how you call it, the thing that you use to paint.
Easel.
I don't know, like
A
to
brush?
paint. Yeah, you have a brush.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. And then you have a brush, and then you're just gonna put this in the water, and then you're gonna put it on the board, and then the board will get wet, but it's gonna flow. I don't know how you say that. The water is gonna miss in like 5 or 10 minutes. So you can just ask the kid to draw their monsters there, and it's gonna go away no matter what. So they can see
board right here. Yeah.
Yeah, you can find it on Amazon. It's
Yeah.
I just love it.
Cool.
And there's a special part at the back. So it's like you have this here, and there is the board like here. And so the water comes in this small thing, and then I just like to put crystals inside, and then I just put water inside, and then I just tell the children that the crystal, it's gonna just release some special power that is gonna mix with the water. And once they put the monster in the board, then the power of the crystal is gonna disappear. And once they see that the monster is gone, it's not there anymore, then I just ask them to look at the crystals and let their mind just choose one that is going to be their courage crystal, so they can take home. And then I just ask them to put the crystal inside of their pillow. So the crystal is going to release more substance that is going to go into their brain. Then it's going to make them have all the courage in the world that they need.
Right.
And they just sleep very well.
As Melissa Pierce says, this stuff's all made up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they don't know. What we work with.
It's fine.
And unfortunately, Laiz, we have come up against the end of our meeting. We have more announcements to make. Michael, were there a couple of things that you wanted to say real quick?
There is one thing, but there's a really quick, Laiz. If people want to get in contact with you, how might they do that? Is there an email address or how can people talk to you?
There's my email address. There's my Facebook, but my Instagram is some where I usually see most of the messages. But the email address I can just write here in the chat for you if I find it.
Okay.
I follow Laiz on Instagram, and just know that most of her stuff is in Portuguese. So
yeah,
but you can always get the translation right
Yes.
underneath. You can get the translation. So
That's right.
yeah, you can get the translation from Instagram.
yeah. Right
Oh, yeah.
underneath
Really?
it says, yeah. Get translation.
Oh, that is nice. I didn't know that.
All right. Okay. And the one thing that I have to do before we just officially close, to remind everybody, first of all, get your CEUs. Again, if you're a member of IACT or IMDHA, go out to their website, log in with your ID, and the little box pops up that you can say, I spent some time with Karen and Michael and Laiz talking about children, and I think you should give me some credit for the effort. So so they will do that for you.
And just in case for Americans, if you don't mind me saying so, Michael, her name is spelled Laiz, R as in Richard, Ricci. It's pronounced Laiz Ricci, but it's pronounced, it's spelled with an R, just so
Yep.
you'll be able to find her.
Yeah, and so it looks like Laiz Ricci. I would thought she was Italian at outlook.com, by the way.
But he is Italian.
Yeah.
My grandfather was Italian.
There you go. There you go. All right. And so we want you to hold on for one more minute, Laiz, because we're going to send you off with a group blessing, the virtual group hug that we finish up with. But before we do, one last thing, Karen, should we tell them now?
Oh, yes, yes, please.
Well, next month is December. And you know what happens in December, right? Holidays, Christmas, whatever you celebrate, so many celebrations. This is the great season for it. So we have our annual holiday banquet. But of course, we don't have food, although you can you can order from your local your local Pizza Hut. We've got an agreement with them that you just call them, you tell them you want the banquet special, and they'll ask you, what is that? And you remind them, just tell them what you want, of course, and they'll bring it right to your door. So you can join us with that at the virtual chapter. And
Yes.
the other thing is that the meeting itself, we have a 7-course meal. I don't know how many courses it really is, but that's what I think it was last year. And what we get is we're going to get about 7 or 8 or 9 presenters, and everybody's going to have about 6 or 7 or 8 minutes to do a whole bunch of short little things, however it is that they want to bring you blessings for the holiday. A little teaching, a little meditation, a little song, whatever it is that they bring. There will be a bevy of folks, and we'll have a lot of fun. So please come and join us. It is December 14th, one day before Beethoven's birthday. So all you big Beethoven folks, I know you're gonna have to stay up for this, but I hope that you will. December 14th, 2021, the last virtual chapter meeting of the year. So please be there. There we go. I'm out of breath. So it must be time.
So open your mics and let's give Laiz a wonderful send off. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yay,
Open your
Laiz.
mics. Goodbye, Laiz. Thank you so very much for being with you.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. It was a pleasure to be with you all.
Thank you, Laiz, so much. We'll talk to you again soon.
Lots of love. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.